Okay. So we are going to use this data from our Origami Frog Lab to create a graph. And the first thing I want to do with this data, just point out a couple things about how Excel works. If you draw the cursor, or drag the cursor over here, and you see this little symbol, I can double click it with the left button, and it will auto fit it. So first thing I want to do is I want to figure out what the mean is. So I'm going to write equals, and anytime you do a formula, you should type in equals. And then average, open parentheses, and then I'm going to drag through here with the left button, and then I can either close parentheses or hit enter, and it will automatically put in the mean. If I put that box back over here, and I saw with the iPads, you have to click on it and hold it down and then hit the fill button, and then it will show this, and then I can drag this across and it will give me the means. So I'll write over here means. Next I want to do the standard deviation. So I'm going to type in standard deviation, and again, since I'm cut off over here, I can go over onto this. I see the little double arrow, double click it, and it'll automatically fit. So next thing I want to do is hit equals standard. So I type in STD, and you can see it says standard DP, standard DS. I want to click standard DS. Standard DP is the population standard deviation, and remember that divides by n. The one that says .s divides by n minus 1, which remember is the degrees of freedom. So I'm going to double click that, and then that will open the parentheses. What I then want to do is highlight everything not including the mean. Those are the samples that I want to find the standard deviation for. And again, I can either close parentheses or just hit enter. And it gives me my standard deviation. Just like before, I can then click on this. I find that little box on the bottom, drag it across, and it automatically gives me the standard deviation. Next, I want to do the standard error of the mean. And because Excel doesn't have a standard error of the mean formula, I have to write in my own formula, which standard error of the mean is going to be equals the standard deviation divided by the square root of n. So to do the square root of n, I'm going to make an open parentheses because I have to make a formula for in here. I type in SQ, and you can see square root comes up. And then I have an open parentheses, and the sample size for this is 6, so I'm going to put in 6, close parentheses, and then I have to hit another close parentheses around that formula, and then hit enter. And that'll give me the standard error of the mean. Can drag that across for this one because this one also has a sample size of 6, but I can't do it for here. I have to retype it in over here. So equals standard deviation, so I click on the standard deviation, divided by square root of, and in this case, the square root will be of the sample size 5. So that's the standard error of the mean. So then the 95% confidence interval, which a student pointed out on the form that I gave you, says 1.96. And you can, by all means, use 1.96. That's the more accurate number. But on the AP exam formula sheet, they just have it 2 times the standard error of the mean. So that's what we'll use. So I'll just write 2 SEM. So again, I'm going to just create a formula. Click on standard error of the mean, SEM, and then times. So I use that little asterisk, which is the shift 8, and then 2, and then that does the math automatically, and I can drag it through and fill, and it does the math for me there. So now I want to graph this, but the only thing I want to graph with construction paper, copy, scratch paper down at the bottom, and I want the means to be graphed, and then I don't want standard deviation, standard error, the mean. I only want 2 SEM as my error bars. So I'm going to hide everything. So notice where my cursor is. I want the cursor to go over here, over on these side buttons. So if I left click and drag, it highlights the whole thing. If you just do this, it's not going to hide anything. If I right click that, there's no hiding. I have to highlight the entire row that I want to hide. So I right click, and then you'll see it says hide. Then I want to hide standard deviation and standard error, the mean, and then I hide that. So what I ultimately want to graph is this information right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Insert, then I go up to here to the charts, and I'm putting in a column, which is this type of column right here. You can see it pretty much automatically puts it in. Now, I can either leave that here, or I can put it into a separate location. I can make it its own chart. But for now, I'm going to just leave it here.